Hello, US 102 history students. Um, I'm making this announcement. Um, this is going to be, almost a week before class starts. Um, it starts officially on this upcoming Monday. I will open up the first week's module on Sunday, though. Okay, so that's something that you can um, be aware of if you want to start earlier. And so there's just a few things that I'm going to let you know for those of you who want to kind of prepare yourself for the class. So I've been teaching 101 for close to a decade now, and I only taught US 102 this section once online almost a decade ago. I'm aware of all of this history, but this class was the videos I made for this class are nearly a decade old, and I used a different textbook at the time. I think that if I remember right, I kind of had I was told I had this class last minute, kind of like somebody canceled or didn't do the class, and I got it, and I had to quickly make it as I was going, and so I used one particular textbook to work off of. So that part you're going to see in the lectures. I hope it doesn't throw you off too much. The content is still going to be fine. And I'm aligning the free textbook that we have, the online textbook that is linked in your readings, to the topics that I'm covering. So that really shouldn't cause much of a problem. Okay. If any of you are having a difficulty with that, or you're seeing something seems off, feel free to let me know. Keep in mind that some of the things that I mentioned in some of these videos were applying to, sometimes I talk about current political events at the time, um, and kind of comparing and contrasting to the history I was talking about then. But again, I don't, I was looking through my videos and I don't see anything that is particularly off. It should work well still. I'm going to be also incorporating other videos. And come the end of the class, I'm waiting to see what I'm going to do, because we're really dealing with the end of the Civil War and moving into all the way up to present U.S. history. Now, I teach world history, I teach Western Civ, I teach U.S. history. My specialty that I focused on was really more or less Asia and the Islamic world, which is a very broad category. Um, uh, but my point is that I study a lot of different things, and I have stronger points of knowledge on different topics, whether it's U.S. history or world history. So occasionally I go back and I'll look at some of my old lectures and see that I get more information, that I need to change any information. But what I hope you're going to all understand is that as a professor, I'm constantly a student as well. There's always something to learn. And since I started teaching history in general about over a decade ago, the world has changed considerably. Not necessarily for the best, although not all the worst either. But I'm hoping that this class is going to be able to have that we can approach this with some nuance. So you're going to see we're going to have discussions, right? And I use heavily, and also it's free online link. So there's the textbook, and then we will be also having a lot of discussions on Howard Zinn's A People's History. Now look, that book has its own bias. It is left leaning, and it's been used a lot, and it's been criticized by some and praised by many. But I had even conservative students in my class. I taught a night class, and this was mainly older professionals, and many of the students that maybe didn't agree with Howard Zinn's overall political point of view liked the way that his chapters were set up for good discussions about American history in a way that other textbooks don't do. So you're not being indoctrinated in a particular ism. I'm just out. I'm letting you know, giving you know that this is where he's from, but you are going to engage with this text and into discussions. And I won't always just use that textbook for discussions, but that's what we'll be using. And then I will also have each week. Well, let me just explain what to expect for the weekly routine. So you're going to see that there's, onto your left of your Canvas screen is the modules. You click on the modules and you're going to see each week I'm going to open up a new module. And you'll see at the top, weekly work objective. I do not use the course calendar. I repeat, I do not use the course calendar. I have a specific reason it's to your advantage, but there's a lot of students that have an issue with that because they're waiting to see something pop up. But each week, you should look at the weekly course objectives, and it's going to tell you what we're doing for the week. Then underneath that, I have a readings link, and that's going to show you what we are, the material that you're going to need to read to complement what you're going to watch. Remember, you're going to be watching many videos. Some are my lectures from me, and then there's going to be lectures from other scholars, other teachers, and just documentary clips and so on. Not all the documentaries, by the way, are necessarily something that I 100% agree with either. I will always show you something that I think is scholarly and stimulating to the discussion. It doesn't mean necessarily that I agree with every point, and I don't expect you to have to agree with every point. We're going to be critical thinkers. That's what I want to encourage you to do. Now, okay, so we have the readings link. Then I'm going to have usually maximum of 3 assignments a week, sometimes less, never more. You're going to have 2 assignments normally due on Thursday evenings, and then the Sunday essay will be due on Sundays. Every once in a while, I will do something nice, or I will arrange it and say, I can move one assignment that's usually due on Thursday to a Sunday, okay? But it'll never be different than Thursdays or Sundays, okay? And you're gonna have video notes. You have to watch every video, and you have to put notes on every video. Okay, that doesn't include my announcement, but in the module section. And that's to prove you watched the video. Nobody's going to watch my videos unless they are accountable to them and they have to prove it. We all know that. Even if you're a hard worker, if I say watch this video and you don't have to do anything to prove that you did, you're not going to do it. So that's what I look at, okay? Those video notes. And then you have the discussions. The discussions need to address what I'm asking of you in the discussion. So let's keep that in mind. And I talk about being respectful. You can have a good debate, but you got to be respectful to each other. And then Sundays, you're going to have a 1-page essay. I will go into more details about what that should look like. You're only going to use information that's covered in the modules. These are not research papers. The entire point of the 3 assignments that we do each week will be for you to prove that you're engaging with the material that we're covering in class, okay? And I'm not a hard grader, but I am, and what I mean by I'm not hard is that, when it comes to your papers, I'm not going to be knocking off a lot of points for grammar issues, although I should be able to understand what you're saying. The way that you do the citations, which I'll talk about, you do have to cite, but I have a very loose set of expectations about how that's done. I will post an example of a paper to show you what my expectations would be later on next week. And And so many students tell me that at first they feel like it's a lot of work. And then as they get the rhythm down, you see that my class is predictable. I don't have any tricks to it. Uh, we don't do multiple choice exams. We don't have multiple choice quizzes. Everything will be about you engaging with the material and proving that you are through writing and notes and discussions. That's the sum total of the class, I can say. Okay? And as long as you're keeping up, it's going to be fine. Now, I have students that sometimes get behind for good reasons. You can talk to me, and you have to communicate with me about that. I will talk more about late policies a little bit later as well. So there's, I'll go into more details about the expectations of each specific assignment type as they pop up next week. I mainly just wanted to give you a heads up for what to expect. So you can look at the syllabus, and like I said, you can see that there's the link to the online textbook and to the Howard Zen book. And ultimately, what I hope you're going to do is just come in ready to engage with history and not be a passive observer, and not to be closed-minded as well. We all have our own sort of ideologies that we bring into the table, and that's fair. That's what a human being, there's no way to not be that person, because if you're a critical thinker, then you have a strong opinion about X, Y, and Z topic. But sometimes we get ideas that are based on very little information. We think that they're grounded in a lot of evidence, and they're not necessarily. And sometimes we can become emotionally attached to certain ideas, especially about our own countries. I traveled the world for a short period of time. It was a year that I pretty much lived out of the country, and I lived for about 9 months in what people would call authoritarian states, where you didn't, you weren't politically free to just say what you want to, that, saying something bad about the king can put you in prison. If an officer wanted to, do something about that. And so, I've seen how the world operates, and that there's different levels of existence and realities, and how entire societies can have a worldview based on the way that their culture kind of a dominant narrative that they sort of have to comply with. In the United States, we like to think that we're free and that we're being free thinkers, but we're not doing so well in this media realm right now. And I'm more than happy to engage with all of you on any of these discussions. I hope that you will reach out to me as we go over this class. I hope you will talk to me and not feel comfortable enough to question anything that we're learning, and maybe bring up different points of view if you want. So this 13-minute, or going on almost 14 minutes of this video is long enough. I wanted to give you all a taste of kind of what to expect, my approach, my style, and like I said, once this week's the school week starts, I'm going to be giving you step-by-step clarity on how to do the assignments successfully. Okay, I'll give you examples, but you've got to pay attention to my announcements. They won't always be as long as I'm just doing right here, but they'll always be applicable to this class. And I have many students that struggle a lot, and come to find out, they have all these questions that were answered in all the announcements that they ignored. So you're going to need to watch these announcements. All right. I hope you're all doing well at the start of this new year, and we'll be in touch, everyone.